Hello. I am so happy to be doing this video because so many people struggle I will use the word severely with sugar addiction. And I've realized over time that it's very difficult to rip the Band-Aid off and go cold turkey and take every speck of sweetness out of your life in a moment's notice. And I realize that so many people, what I call fall in the ditch, go in and out of the ditch. They might last 5 days, 7 days, and they're face down back into their DOC, their drug of choice, which for many of us is sugar. I am Dr. Lisa Wiedemann. I have suffered 30 long years of my own very deep hole of carb and sugar addiction. And I am one to really try to encourage the removing all taste of sweet to ultimately get rid of the cravings. But as time has gone on, and I have experienced and witnessed even my own mom, I'm trying to get off of chocolate, and I substitute now some of these things that you'll see. I am going to demo in a hopefully organized whirlwind fashion many options that you can use to help wean yourself off of the sugar and get into just temporarily the stevia sweetened items that we can very, very much tone down and minimize and get it so it's just a very subtle taste of sweetness, enough to get rid of that nagging sweet tooth that you might have after you finish dinner. So hello, we're doing this live, and thank you for joining. I am going to first talk about this, the weaning off versus the cold turkey. So if you failed over and over again and trying hard to get off of sugar, if you won't even attempt going cold turkey, weaning off might be better for you. And if you end up going in the ditch with cheats on every attempt that you've made, this might be the way to go about this. Cold turkey, the benefit, you rip the Band-Aid off, of course, right? You stop feeding the stray cat. And one of my very favorite sayings is you really just don't want to switch seats on the Titanic and go from sugar to the sweeteners, but maybe temporarily it's a lifeboat and it's something that you can cling on to for just a little bit until you're ready, until you're in that space where you've really made progress. And then my famous saying, just suck it up, Buttercup, at that point. Let go of the lifeline, and hopefully that will be your ticket to carb sober freedom. Here is now my multitude of different things that I hope will be a really, really great help to help work you through getting through the sugar addiction. So the first is an electrolyte slushie. So it's really refreshing. We all know we've had those, childhood memories of slushies, and this one, and I'm going to tell you, if you follow my recipe, which obviously can be altered to your own taste, but if you follow these, don't be expecting a hit of Kool-Aid. Don't be expecting a burst of amazeness on these recipes, because I've purposely toned them down, but they're very pleasant, and you will be able to gradually wean yourself even further. Hopefully when you try these, you'll be like, you know what, this does hit the spot and I don't have to go crazy. So I'm going to grab some ice cubes. Hang on. And I always make mine in this. And for me, this size cube, I put in, I'm just going to put like, I put in 9, I put 10 on there. I don't know what size your cubes are, but Get the cubes in there. Then 3/4 cup of water or seltzer. Flavored seltzer's fine, just nothing sweetened. We're here with the water, seltzer, or flavored seltzer. I tend to just use water. Works great. Now, this is the next thing, the biggie, is the electrolyte. So you can make a pina colada slushie, right? We've got Relight. They've got strawberry lemonade. There's the canisters of mixed berry, lemon, lime. Aside from that, so I will have links to that below with discounts. If you have those at home, awesome. I'm going to tell you through experimenting and trying to find things that are favored of other people that I'm making these slushies for. This is one of my favorite. This is Black Cherry by Perfect Keto. And they also make a pink lemonade. And then I have, this is a company that I don't really hear that much of, an electrolyte mix that is peach. Happens to be one of my favorite flavors. So peach is often what I'll end up doing. So instead of doing it by grams or by scoops, these little scoops that come in these tend to vary in size. So what I've done is made it into a recipe where you can just take the amount that I measured out, 3/4 teaspoon, and just make sure that's nice and level. And I'm making a peach one, and I just put that into the water and stir that up. And it's simple as this. Stir the electrolyte in. I just find it's better than dumping the powder onto the ice cubes to get this just to be a nice uniform consistency. And dump that in. And I have the Ninja here. I'm going to tell you, I find that this makes slushies better than just a regular blender where I end up typically with chunks still of ice. But I've experimented with a lot, and hang on, it's going to make a lot of noise. And you can, when you stop it, when you're pulsing it, you can hear if the ice is still kind of got large pieces and chunked up. All right, and I'll give you a little bit of a hint on this. If you have one of these, it can tend to fly, and I mean fly, out of here into the glass. So I like the consistency of this because it does have some liquid in it, and I've learned that you need to be a bit careful. And then there you have it, slushie. Very refreshing. Will definitely hit the spot after a meal. And I'm going to stick this in the fridge and have it later. Okay, so onward we go. Let's see. Let me get to the next. Okay, Electrolyte Jello. Here's another instance where you can make the Jello purely out of unflavored electrolytes. And I use this grass-fed, unflavored gelatin. You can put, like I said, with this Jello, unflavored electrolytes. Point being is, to me, blah. It is nice to have that texture, a different texture from all of our animal-based foods. Hi, Holly. Hi, Tammy. But I'm going to show you a couple versions of this, and I'll show you how it comes out, and then you decide if it's something that you want to venture into. So I'm going to go through this. I have the kind of recipe up there, but you can, oh boy, I'm doing an experiment in the oven over there, but I'll show you that. Totally an experiment on the fly. Very, very risky to do it live. Okay, so for the electrolyte jello, it is so simple, and this is what you're going to do. 1 cup of cold water. Make sure you can see. To that, you're going to add 3 tablespoons of that gelatin, just the plain gelatin. So you're just going to sprinkle that in. Maybe I should put this over so you can see it all the way. Just kind of keep mixing as you pour that in. Now, at this point, I have started to boil water. And while I'm doing this mixing, you're going to mix this for a couple minutes just to let the gelatin bloom. And you will take your preferred electrolyte jello du jour. So what do you feel like? Do you want mixed berry, black cherry, pink lemonade? I'm going to do a pink lemonade. And I have, let me just put this up here. Here's the thing. Again, remember, if you put too much, then we're missing the point of trying to wean ourselves off the taste of sweet. And then this thing is just something that you're going to eat the whole pan of. So I put here 2 teaspoons, and I put that right into this cold water gelatin mix. And stir this up. And you can see it is, well, you can't see much of anything, can you? Let's go here. Just a thickening mixture. Then 3 cups here of the boiling water. And then all I'm going to do is mix that into here. I'll give you one hint when you are going to get this into the refrigerator, depending on your pan, but this might be easier for you to see. And just dump this in. Get all of the blooming gelatin off the walls of that. We're going to mix for another couple minutes. And all right, we're going to leave that a minute. And all we do is pour this into a glass dish. You could do it into small single-serve dishes, which works very nicely, or just pour this into an entire pan, which I did ahead of time. And with the magic of video here, this is the gelatin that I made earlier today. And let me pull this to the side. I will show you on this how nicely this comes out. And we can just pick up a nice square of, this one's black cherry. And it's delicious. Very subtle. Remember what I keep saying. We're not looking to make Kool-Aid replication. I will tell you one other thing that you can do in some of these, let's say low carb Jello recipes. You can actually take a herbal tea bag like this of the black cherry berry, and in that 3 cups of boiling water, go ahead and steep the tea bag in there, and then mix it together. When you get really bold and you wean yourself even further, you can make it with very, very little electrolyte powder and use the tea as the flavoring. And you know, you can make them in little small containers like this, individual ones, because yeah, I would probably eat all of that Jello because it's that good. There lies the problem. Portion control on all of these. Now, let's go on to the cocoa butter protein nibs. These are really a very good mimicker of chocolate because you have that texture. Cocoa butter has definite benefits as far as the fat profile in it. The equip protein that I mix in with it is beef isolate protein. Now, they have an unflavored one, but the flavored ones do have stevia leaf extract in it. So like I said, the purpose is to minimize the sweetness and the flavor explosion and try to get our little sweet tooth nipped in the bud. One of these is so much better than falling in the ditch having actual chocolate, or with the Jello or the slushie. You know, we all know what we would end up going for. It's the Ben & Jerry's and the Haagen-Dazs. And I'll get into the ice cream a little bit later in the video because I do make an ice cream too. Rebecca of Tailored Keto Health, she makes these cocoa butter protein, I don't know what to call them, nibs. I hate to use the word candies. And so I use exactly what she said, is basically you melt the cocoa butter, and I buy it in bulk because I make a big batch when I bring some up to my mom. But let me show you. They also come in wafer form, and I made some earlier, and you can see the picture there, and I have them in the freezer because I happen to think that the texture is amazing when they're frozen, but I will put the link to these molds if you don't have molds. Here's some fun Halloween skull molds, and that made, I happen to have chosen the chocolate one, but when I made these earlier, but it comes out really pretty cool. Kids would like them too. And same thing with these. Just pop them out, and you basically have, again, we're trying to not inundate our taste buds with super sweet, and hopefully 1 or 2 of these will help you out with that sugar craving. All right, so I'm going to make these. And I have the recipe up there that I do. 8 ounces of the cacao butter, 4 tablespoons of the protein powder of your choice. Now, there's salted caramel, there's vanilla, chocolate, peanut butter, and strawberry. So You choose. And then I also put in a tablespoon of the unflavored. Now, don't go into sticker shock if you go to get these equipped, but these bags, so this is their new flavor, the salted caramel. Huge. Let's see, what do we got here? 1.5 pounds. I'm using tablespoons of these, like a tablespoon in some of the recipes. This one, because I'm making a batch of these, I have 4 tablespoons in it because you need to get the consistency, but I'll just show you. You are just going to melt this down, and I have already measured out the salt. I think I chose strawberry for this one because it goes really, really good with the cacao butter and the unflavored. So it's already all mixed in there. And first, we're just going to get that to melt down. In the meantime, since that has to melt down a little bit, I wasn't prepared and didn't have that pre-melted, but I did want you to see what the bulk cocoa butter looks like. I have over here just experimented with making a egg type souffle. This is just beaten egg, pinch of salt. So I did 3 eggs and a tablespoon. So let's see, 3 eggs and 3 teaspoons. So it's 1-to-1 teaspoons to egg on the flavored protein. And I did a tablespoon of the unflavored, but I made this to show you how versatile, and I'll see if I can cut open into this, see how it came out. But so just a tasty little treat to try to, again, they're nice and small for portion control, because if you're like me, we have a hard time with sober behavior around things that are sweet. So, okay, so this is melting. I have to try this because I actually just made up this recipe right now. It's good. Again, remember, this isn't going to give you a sugar rush and a, oh my God. It's just a very, very subtle sweet flavor. I like it. Oh, you know what I did with this one? 3 teaspoons of strawberry and 1 teaspoon vanilla. That's what I did. I didn't do the unflavored. It's great. That'll be dessert. Okay, so let me finish showing you. Burn my hand on this. I'm going to finish showing you the nibs. Although I don't really have to do this. It's so simple. Basically, like I said, you're mixing in this, and then what I do is I pour it from the pan into this stainless steel that's got a little bit of a pour spout on it, because then you are going to be pouring them into these molds. You can get a mold like this. This one's pretty neat because pour it into there, freeze it, and then it breaks apart like little pieces of chocolate. And then it's easier. You don't have to pour like 1 by 1 into this one. Although Equip makes a peanut butter prime protein. I don't have that one, but these kind of remind me of Reese's peanut butter cups, this mold, right? But I just pour them into that, and then we're done. So one major hint, put your mold on a cutting board before you fill them, and then lower them into the freezer. What did I put in here? I think, yeah, I did strawberry. These would taste really good as salted caramel too. They actually would taste great as anything. Like I showed you before, I did one batch earlier of the chocolate. But that's it. It's done. And all that needs to be done is pour this. Let's see if I can do it without spilling. Ta-da. And then one by one, just fill the molds. I put them in the refrigerator first, get them to solidify. And then once they're cold, solid, then I throw them in the freezer and store them and use them directly from the freezer. All right, so there is that one. How are we doing? You guys hanging in here? Oh, Holly, are you making a comment about that souffle thing I just did? Yeah, it would be really good with butter. I probably baked it a little too long because I've never done it and I wasn't paying attention, but it probably could have gone another minute or two less. Plus, I shut it off when I went live and it stayed in there. Yes, it is best to stay with meat, salt, and water. I totally agree from my primal Mike. But here's the thing, over and over and over again, people are just not able to comprehend this and they say if they had to do this, then they couldn't do it. And I would rather somebody have something like this and hopefully stepping stone to staying immersed in the community and listening to all the positive benefits of getting totally into, I say meat, seafood, eggs, and water is the goal. But of course, you know, with some flexibility, I'm not dogmatic. I do eat some capers and a little bit of avocado sometimes. This isn't about being like crazy. This is about just trying to find what makes you feel good, what works. Are you healthy? Are you off all medications? Do you have no diagnosis? Are you down to a lean body weight? If you got all that, you have a little wiggle room. If you're far from that and you're on a standard, atrocious diet, ripping the Band-Aid off and going to meat, seafood, eggs, and water is out of the question for many, let's say. So that is my goal of this. I get that. And wait, you use protein powder for the nibs? Yes. Yep. They have the same Equip Prime protein. So this one I just made was the strawberry one. And I get it. I get it. Don't write to me and tell me about that stevia is not good. Let's just go to the point where with my own mom, I want health for her. She's type 2 diabetic. I want her to get off of her meds. I want her to understand that she doesn't have to eat Godiva chocolate. We can make these cacao nibs. Now, granted, there's a little taste difference, but she can't comprehend getting totally off of the sugar. So, and I know there's many others. So this is just hopefully going to be a little stepping stone to help. All right, now let's go to the next one, cottage cheese ice cream. So you can make carnivore ice cream with just heavy cream, egg yolk, a little, let's say, vanilla extract, and be on your way and say, the heavy cream is sweet enough. That's awesome. I get it. And I have to agree. It's probably totally fine for some. For others, we need that other stepping stone. And this might be a huge help to do this instead of falling face down into Ben & Jerry's and Haagen-Dazs. All right. So I'm going to just show you, I have here already measured out the 16 ounces of the cottage cheese. And we get the vanilla bean powder. And I have links to all of this. It's a tablespoon of the vanilla bean powder. And a tablespoon of whatever you want. The salted caramel, the chocolate, the peanut butter, the strawberry, the vanilla, and make yourself a, let's see, I'm going to just go with strawberry. And just a tablespoon of that. And put this on and blend it up. You don't have to freeze this. I made a batch ahead of time and I froze it, and I'm going to show you the consistency. And again, not a mind-blowing sweetness at all. Just something, a hint to help get the edge off. If any of you have spouses that aren't on board with, let's say, this carnivore way of eating, if that's what you're doing, this is a great way to get them off of even that halo and those keto substitutes. I feel this is much better than doing those. And and you can adjust it. You can put more of the prime protein in and start out a little bit sweeter for somebody who you're trying to get acclimated. But that is pretty much it right there. And you can see the consistency of that. Strawberry is really good. Okay. Let me see if I have anything else here. Oh, yes. We're on to the hot nog drink. So a couple tablespoons of butter. See if I can get that heated up. And I have that in here. You're going to put a couple cups of boiling water, pinch of salt. I have down there 1/8 of a teaspoon, but you know, basically just throw a little salt in there, just enhances the flavor. And 1 tablespoon of the favored of choice. You know, if you do strawberry and chocolate, you will get sort of a chocolate covered strawberry flavor. And this one, I'm just doing this nog drink as a hot drink. Sometimes I suggest doing this totally without the prime protein in there and use it as a substitute to try to wean yourself off of coffee and caffeine. And you really don't need to have, where did I put my, here we go. I have a raw egg. You can do just the raw egg yolk if you prefer. I like getting that froth. So, okay. So this cup has a little measure thing in there. I just try to do it for ratios. And I use this immersion blender, which I love because it is cordless. And let's see, the only other thing I didn't put in there yet was the prime protein, but let's go with the salted caramel. Do a tablespoon. Like I said, most of the things are just a tablespoon. And I will show you now. And then while blending, dump the egg in and it will not cook. You can see it is foaming up there. Okay. And oops, just pour this. And a delicious little, again, have that, need something right after dinner just to, amazing. It's really, really good. Remember, the goal is to wean off and get away from the sweeteners. I get it. These types of foods are precisely what causes people to slip up because they look close to real commercial treats available, in your opinion. Yeah, so that's why the keto cookies, the keto pancakes, all of that is very difficult to wrap your brain around, that all of that should not be in. And I totally agree with you. I have been coaching for a dozen years. And that's one of the first things I say is if you're just turning constantly to things that mimic other foods, it's going to be a slippery slope back into the ditch when your triggers are too high, the social pressure is too much. But I can also say in all these years of coaching, Mike, you might be steadfast and strong and say, you know what, this is what screws people up. And no, you got to do this. And you could say that to your blue in the face. And there's people over and over and over again that can't get out of their own way to stop the addiction. It's so strong to that sugar. So the thought being that, yeah, is it better to have this than to have a full-on Starbucks pumpkin iced latte? Sure as heck is. Is it better to have, let's say, this instead of sit down and eat an entire package of Reese's peanut butter cups? Yeah, I think so. So everybody's on their own individual journey. I just know from my experience of helping people that there are some people who have been in my groups a long time and pretty much fully carnivore, but still cling to that last bit of sweet every day in their coffee or, whatever it is. And some people just don't want to give up their Diet Coke. Some people don't want to give up their gum. It's a journey. It's a process. We have to keep learning, keep understanding what is driving us. Are we eating for the wrong reasons? Are we trying to fill an emotional void with these sweet treats? Are we turning to them for stress, anxiety, boredom, procrastination, you name it? The emotions run high. And for those of us who have had a very long-standing knee-jerk reaction to turn to food when any and all those emotions come up, it's very, very difficult to break. And you could say, well, just turn to ground beef. Well, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter what you say about this is what you should do. It's actually, what do you do in that moment? Are you by yourself? Do you have something in the house that is your prior DOC, drug of choice? Tends to not fare well. If you had something like these things that I'm showing, might it be better? I'd say yes, it might be. And this is a hell of a lot better than going down to Baskin Robbins and getting a milkshake. So I know it's my tried and true way of coaching out of sugar addiction is to say 100% abstinence from all taste of sweet. Take a deep breath, white knuckle it, and do it. But again and again, somebody will make it 8 days. Somebody might make it 2 weeks. Some people might make it 2 months, and they're back in the ditch. We're all always 2 feet away from that ditch. So I understand exactly what you're saying, Mike, and I totally appreciate your comment. And I appreciate the opportunity, though, also to give my perspective of it from coaching people and coming out of a very long, deep, dark ditch myself. So, oh, thank you, RB Good Fat, for reminding people, don't forget to hit the like button. I don't even know what the algorithm does and why that's significant, but I think it is. So hit the like and forward this if you think that this might help anybody else. I'm going to put up, I have one other that I think I'm not going to make, but I will tell you, or I could make it. But so if you're also on coffee and not willing to give that up, not willing to comprehend the fact that we should be giving up the caffeine and the coffee, and you want a substitute drink, this one, make sure you put the prime protein in the bottom of the blender. I wrote that right there. And then add the ice cubes and add a cup of coffee, regular or decaf. And I don't think I need to go through the demonstration on that and have the noise again. So I know you all know that I truly am trying to help as best I can. Here we go. Remember, the goal is to get off, misspelling, all taste of sweet, to rid yourself of any cravings. So wean down and eventually off of these. And, you know, you might find that with the Electrolyte Jello, that you use 2 teaspoons at the beginning, and then you say, I'm going to try 1 teaspoon, and then say, you know what? I don't need this at all. This is the point for me, is to just try to give you a tool to potentially help you. If it doesn't, and you end up same thing back in the ditch, then you'll learn something. And that is that you're going to have to rip the Band-Aid off and just suck it up, buttercup. It's not fun, but there's no normal taste of sweet that we should be eating all the time on a regular basis. And it's not going to lead us to optimal health. Allulose is also less sweet to the palate as well. Now, I've never had allulose, but I just remember on the retreat I was just at in Tennessee at Rebecca's Tailored Keto Health retreat, there was a very heavily sweetened allulose dessert that a number of people had some GI distress over. And so I don't know whether it's just really individual. Like I said, I've never had allulose, so I don't know. All right. Thanks for joining. If, like I said, you found this useful, you know anybody who this might help, hit the like, forward it, and I hope that this isn't something that you feel, as Mike potentially does, is that this is going to derail more people than it's going to help. But you will have to be the determining factor on that, each individual person. So, all right. Let's see. I'm going to see if there's any. Tammy says I should do a cookbook. Yeah. I'm going to work on that as soon as I get some time. Erythritol kills my stomach. I can handle allulose. Okay. Yeah. So that's interesting. I'm not a connoisseur of various substitute sweeteners, so I don't have an answer for that. I just basically feel it's pretty individual. Maria Rose says, I dislike stevia, so I won't eat anything with it in it, and that includes protein powder. Yeah, so that's that's a no-brainer right there. Then you're not even contemplating that. But I have to say, this hot nog drink with no stevia whatsoever, the butter, the egg, a touch of vanilla powder, which I didn't put in this because I put the Equip Prime protein in it, but I do have a discount code for the Equip if you want to use that. I don't have it in the notes right now because I have to sign off of here and do some work to get all of that in there, but I will have it in there if you want to try any of these. And I hope you enjoy.